Hello, welcome to another episode of the Horror Vision Presents Elements de Horror. My name is Sean.
I am Anthony the Arachnid.
I'm John.
Tori.
And Tori, this is your pick. Tell us what you picked, why you picked it, and
Woo!
everything about it, everything you know.
Well, this is another one that's been on my list. First time watch. Long
Okay.
time fan, first time caller. Um, it's just been something on my radar for a really long time. Uh, I don't know why. I skipped it when I had the chance, but the opportunity arose and I had to watch it and make you guys watch it too. And that is 1992's low budget, honestly, trailblazing movie, Man Bites Dog.
Yeah.
Yay!
So you said this has been on your radar for a while. So why? How did you come? I mean, obviously, I knew the title. I'd never seen it either. Hey, John, you had seen this previously, correct?
Oh God, yeah.
Anthony, you had not seen this, right?
Turns out I did as I was watching it, and then
Oh,
it's decade plus. So
okay,
yeah,
okay.
long time.
It's always been on lists of either kind of these classics that have gone underappreciated. Obviously, like found footage type movies, it's always on. I've seen it on like a most disturbing list before, so of course, piqued my interest for a really long time. And the concept is great. I mean, 1992, film crews following a serial killer. I mean, that's great. Trailblazing. I could see so many influences in this movie.
Oh yeah, you could see influences in this movie or what this has influenced.
See what this has influenced.
So right away, the big one for me, the obvious one, but not the big one. The obvious one is Leslie Vernon, but
Oh yeah.
to me, Deerskin. I mean, it's unavoidable. I was like,
Yeah,
oh my
I said
God.
the same exact
On
thing.
it. No, you know what this is what I thought of. I was like, I'm watching fucking Spinal Tap.
Oh.
It's like this is Spinal Tap meets the house that Jack built.
Oh, that's a good description.
Oh yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah, and much more pleasant because you don't have to deal with Lars von Trier.
Oh,
Hey,
oh.
hey now,
Well
everybody.
said. So I didn't realize this. This is basically directed by,
The dudes.
yeah, the
Yeah.
dudes that are in the movie, right?
They edited it. They wrote it. They weren't they all film students at the time, John?
Yeah. Yeah, this
What?
is a low budget Belgian film that made its way into Cannes, had a huge impact on Quentin Tarantino. Like Quentin Tarantino actually got in a fight with a security guard trying to see the film a second time.
Mhm.
And I found out about this film in the weirdest way. It was late 90s, and it was actually from a Maxim magazine that my buddies and I were trading around, don't ask. And it was like, what is the most fucked up film ever made? It's this film called Man Bites Dog. I was like, well, I got to see this fucking thing. And I see it, and admittedly, it wasn't the most disturbing thing I had seen, up until that point. I'd seen far more disturbing things, but I would be lying if I said that it didn't endlessly intrigue me. And it was, this was in one of those early Criterion, released before Criterion was a thing, with like the old school logo where like the line goes across the screen at the beginning.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, it was kind of like in one of those, for a while, it was in one of those rotations where of novelty films, if you were, that I would throw on at a party just to kind of, screw around with people, like alongside Caligula, I think.
An American Guinea Pig.
Uh, no, but good point.
I
It's
did
a
not
snuff
find this
film.
movie I didn't find this movie disturbing in the least.
No.
Like not well. I mean, there's one moment in it which we'll get to later that I found super disturbing. I was almost like, I feel like I slipped into another movie for 5 minutes.
Yeah, not as fucked up as in the slightest, like that people had mocked this film up to. It's actually kind of hilarious, except for one scene, and I think I'm on the same page with you if it's the scene that I'm thinking of, but we'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll get to it. So, Tori, talk more about this movie.
So yeah, been on my radar. So I started it last week, and then I did a little refresh today. And the first like 40 fucking minutes of this movie is like funny. You these things he's doing are disgusting and despicable, but he's just so charming.
But and they're done in such a way where it's like you can't take it seriously at all.
Yeah.
Even the
And
editing just, I feel like, cements that, where they'll be talking and they'll cut to like five random murders, right? And then it's like just boom, boom, boom. Oh, yeah.
oh yeah, okay. Yeah, it's almost outlandish. And this killer, Ben, is it's not like an incel. He's likable. He has these friends. He's got a girlfriend. Like he's uh sociable. And then at the same time, he's just like doing these fucked up acts and like it's no big deal. And like doing his whole philosophy with it at the same time and why he picks out what he does. I found it so interesting, like how like complex this character becomes for you.
He's an architecture snob. He
Oh, so his
he
architecture
lo
speech is,
loves Moore
it's like,
Street.
sounds like it makes a lot of, like, it sounds like he knows what he's talking about, but I quickly realize I'm like, this motherfucker does not know what the fuck he's talking about
No,
at
not
all.
really.
He's
No.
one of those guys that knows everything, but actually knows nothing.
He likes drinking to excess in Moule Frites restaurant and just making a total scene, out
Hmm.
of everywhere. Um,
He's a
he
boxer,
boxer.
I think
musician.
He
that gets knocked down in like 10
he
seconds.
he knows how to save money on bullets by shouting at women with heart conditions.
Oh my
Oh man. Oh, but it's like he's talking about like, oh yeah, I killed two Arab dudes, but don't worry, when I buried him, I pointed him toward Mecca. Like what?
Oh yeah, yeah. He dabbles in some good old European racism.
Right? But oh man, just the way he's talking, and then like jealous about how big the guy's dick is.
God. Oh my God.
But just like I don't know the way he speaks about it. Oh, he's what is it? He's 18 and already hung like a polar bear. Get it away from me. Like
Yeah. Anthony, so you had seen this before. What were the circumstances under which you saw the movie the first time, and how did you feel about it between then and now, watching it again?
Well, the first time I saw it, I didn't give it a fair shake just because it was like a late night 3 a.m. thing after work. Um, I'm sure I dozed off 10 different times during it, but I do remember the denture scene. So then when that came up in the movie, I was like, oh shit, that's that flick that I watched a millennia ago. Um, so yeah, I could say honestly, the first time I didn't give it a fair viewing just because, again, I probably worked like a 12-hour day and was just wiped out. Um, but yeah, so I can't speak to that so much, but I rented it and I watched it today with like full focus, and I thought it was great. Like everybody says, it's borderline slapstick comedy at times, and then but when it goes dark, it goes really fucking dark.
mm-hmm.
And of course, we all know the one scene in particular, but yeah, it's I guess he starts getting you start to see him unravel because he prides himself on having it together and again being this jack of all trades as far as his knowledge goes, art connoisseur, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And when all that starts to unravel, because he's not making headlines in the newspaper because his rival is making headlines and he's not. Um, that's where you see that darker change in his demeanor. That's where you start seeing him become unhinged, go off the handle a little more and a little more and a little more until anything that irritates him, he wants dead immediately. Um, and you start to see this camaraderie build between the directors of the film that they're shooting with him, the documentary, and then you see how they all kind of dabble in evil and slowly
Hmm.
really like fully embrace it and throw themselves into it. And there's consequences to that, obviously. And man, I could go on and on about what this thing is trying to do thematically. And I gotta say, I really did enjoy my viewing of it. For a low budget, fresh out of film school squad of ragtag guys putting this movie together, I thought they did an outstanding job. But yeah, overall, the viewing experience was highly enjoyable, with the exception of one or two scenes that kind of, I don't want to say cross a line, because who am I to dictate what art is supposed to be? And also, we have French extremity for a reason, and this is just, I think, something that falls under that banner to some degree. Um, but overall, again, I think it was a solid viewing experience. I don't recommend this for everybody because, again, there's some stuff in there that will
Hmm.
fuck you up. Um, but I am glad that I sat down and was able to, experience it the way it should have been the first time I watched it. And yeah, so thank you for the pick for sure.
It just also
Yeah.
reinforced why I have an extreme dislike for Oliver Stone's Natural Born Killers. This is a film that I feel says a lot of the things that that film says, but with brevity and some wit.
Hmm.
I concur.
All that slapstick though, like that first half, you're really like, oh shit, this is funny. And then when you see it compared to what you guys are talking about and keep mentioning, it just makes it that much more jarring, you know? It's just like painting, the contrast in colors to
Yeah.
really bring each other out. So it made it, yeah, when those parts came up, I was like, oh shit. Okay.
So
Yeah,
are we
but
all referencing the same scene?
I'm pretty sure
I
more than
I I'm
likely.
I am I think I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Is it
dentures,
the
right? I'm just kidding.
nice? Is it the apartment invasion?
Yeah, home invasion, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely that.
So the thing that struck me
Pillow.
about that scene, other than the sexual assault, um, the kind of smash edit into like we've seen him shoot people or strangle people or bludgeon people or whatever, but literally that woman's like insides have been just pulled out of her
Yeah, she's been
abdomen.
disemboweled.
It's really, I mean, it's shot in a way where it's not like the most graphic. That there was a moment where I'm like, that is what I'm looking at, right? Because it's not super graphic, or I mean, it's
Hmm.
graphic, but the intent is graphic. I don't know that like the effects are there because it's kind of hidden by the low budgetness. Were, were there any other scenes for anybody that felt like akin to that? I'm trying to remember if there was anything else that I'm not remembering that was like kind of on that level.
I mean, I didn't have an issue with it, but I think a lot of people would have an issue with like the kid scene,
Hmm.
especially how like relaxed he is in the whole thing and his like whole demeanor. I think that would probably be the other one a lot of people might be sensitive to.
Yeah, that was pretty fucked up. I mean, don't get me wrong, it has its, I think the humor in that scene relies on how over the top everything that just happened, you know, prior to him being killed. God, I don't even know how to fucking go about that scene. It's pretty rough. But yeah, again, like his cool, calm demeanor, joking. He's like jovial. Um, And that comes, that comes across like with even other emotions as well. Like when he's in that shootout and he starts to have this like disappointment on his face. He's like, "Guys, I lost my bracelet." And everyone's, "Wait, what?" Yeah, it was a gift from my dad and it's worth a small fortune and I can't find it. This has happened to me once before where I lost a ring and at the beach or just this wild shit, but he's in the middle of like actively hunting a guy down to murder and it's fucking bonkers.
Then
Um
they take a time out to look for said bracelet.
yeah, they all split up.
Like, what the fuck?
Or it's just these completely bizarre, um moments that are trying to ground him and humanize him, and obviously ultimately they don't work because he's a goddamn monster.
Mhm.
And but yeah, I think it's just my takeaway with the film is, the longer you dabble or associate with that kind of stuff, the more of those traits you start to adapt. And again, you see that in the film team. There's severe consequences to that. He gets an entirely new film team with the exception of the one survivor. They also go into that, down that road. And again, they're really horrible. There's a comeuppance, you know what I mean? There's a comeuppance. So it's like,
Mhm.
um, it's pretty cut and dry as far as that theme goes. Like you do bad shit's gonna come around to you. Um, the theme of revenge obviously comes up during this movie where, again, the rival is killed and the rival's brother shows up. You never see him. He's never on screen. His calling card is what the impaled rat that he's at that
Yeah.
people are finding in mailboxes, etc. And then you get two murders that don't happen on screen, and you know what happened though, and it's pretty horrific as far as like what's described. Basically, his two female companions that were impaled or skewered rather with household items and God, yeah. Like I said, this movie takes a wild turn. It goes dark and it's heavy on that. Um, borderline, borderline. Should I be watching this? Um, but I still think that it's something that should be experienced by yourself. It's
Yeah.
not a crowd pleaser. John, I don't know how you put this on at a house party. Like it's a dad over the top. Uh, But I mean, granted,
Let,
it's
let,
a great conversation starter. You know what I mean?
Anthony, let's just say this, thank God a Serbian film didn't exist back then.
Good
Oh
Lord.
man.
Is that what I think it is? Yeah.
But that's what this movie kind of did. It would relax me, and then it would do something horrendous where oh, okay, I forgot we're watching a horror movie. This isn't just a dark comedy.
It kind of reminded me, and this is another French extreme, but it kind of reminded me somewhat of Titan, where like you have something like absolutely horrendous, and then like she's like, wait, how many other people are here in the house that I need to kill? And then it just turns into just a total slapstick comedy. And then
Yeah.
we get the pendulum just swings in the other direction.
That's an interesting comparison. And that scene in Titan has always reminded me of Mulholland Drive, the
Yeah.
hitman.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's like, oh shit. Something just bit me, mister.
Somebody bit me bad.
Um,
I do like the reference to deerskin that you made earlier. That whole delusion of grandeur thing
oh,
really
it's
carries
so
over. Yeah,
yeah.
it carried over into deerskin like immensely. So yeah, that's another thing that I noticed off the bat is this wild delusion of perfection and grandeur that ultimately you do see the crack in the veneer and then everything starts to unravel and fall apart, i.e. like the scene where he gets caught trying to attack a postman, another fucking highly disturbing scene when he has murdered a postman, has his outfit on, and he's playing with the two kids and a gun, like a toy gun. Yeah, so
The deer skin is just I feel like clearly this was a huge influence on Depew for that movie. But
Totally.
so there's that, and then I was even thinking like that opening, or it's not the opening, but the early scene where he's talking about the ballast ratios for sinking corpses, and like, oh,
Oh man.
old people's bones are porous, blah blah blah, children and midgets, blah blah blah. The way that it's done, like I feel like there's that scene, and Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. It's one of those movies. When I saw it when it came out, I was like, this movie's great. And every time I've seen it since then, I'm like, it's not really great. Like, I still like it to a degree, but I don't know. But there's that scene in it where he's explaining, setting up so the door closes behind her and she takes the trash out, or how much cardio he's got to do in order to keep up with them, when they're running away. And there was something about the tone of the way he was speaking and the way that they were filming it, like looking into the camera. I mean, this obviously was an influence on that movie, and that movie does well, I don't know which is more interesting to me. I mean, maybe it's just six of one, half dozen of another. But like in that movie, the film crew, these like wide-eyed college kids that want to make this fucking documentary about this slasher, and as soon as he actually kills somebody, the whole tone of the movie shifts and it becomes a different movie
Hmm.
because they actually are like stupid enough as college kids to not realize like, oh yeah, this is cool, but like he is actually going to kill somebody at some point, and you're basically aiding and abetting. Here, like this film crew is pretty much in on it from the beginning. Like it's fairly early when he's like, "Oh, grab this guy's legs so we can, move him or whatever." Like there's never really a moment, and it's just such an interesting reflection, especially like I forget the character's name, but there's the cutaway shots him crying after the sound operator gets killed, right? And he's like sitting in a chair. He's like, "I'm so sorry," and he's like apologizing to the guy's wife.
Who
So
both
you
have
know
the
how
same
it,
name.
yeah. Do they?
I think so. The both the
Is it
wives, I think, are like the same name. And I was like, wait, what?
okay? So
What?
it's because then there's another cutaway shot later where he's mourning the other guy's death, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's what threw me was the name because I was like, wait, is this? I was actually going to ask you guys about that. But like, it's that weird disassociation of the psychopath where it's like, well, I don't want my friend to be killed because what about his family and how I'll feel. But I'll kill all these other people and not give a shit. Like, it's beyond not having empathy. It's like the most narcissistic hard edge mirror that you could possibly stare into.
Well, yeah, he like makes up this whole like excuse toward the beginning of why he does what he does. And uh even when one of the guy questions it, he gets pissed. Like, oh, you're picking off uh older people, people that are easier to get rid of. The whole time he's just this narcissist. And
Yeah.
it's like he said the right words and the film crew was just going along with it and believed it the whole time and like was under his spell or something.
Were there any key scenes for anybody that stood out in the film?
There was a lot, but one that got me was the end when they're being shot and the cameraman drops his camera and you just see the doorway for a long time. Um, that reminded me a lot of this photographer, Francesca Woodman, and all of her work. It's like really dark and scary like that.
One
Uh,
one thing that jumped out at me was, and I had to go back and rewatch this, was the stuff towards the beginning with the grandparents in like in the store.
Mm.
Because I'm surprised like this film doesn't get brought up when, I hear other people talk about it, especially this, even in this episode, which is how much this film is almost kind of like a cheeky rebuttal to Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. That
Hmm.
kind of
Oh.
lo-fi approach that they do with that film. and how it ends up being kind of just a playful riff on that film, and it just gets driven home, just like, hey, we're just going to show, like, the family life and the quotidian parts of his existence, and his likes and dislikes.
And then his family's nice, or they come off on the uh, documentary as like these nice people, and they're saying, "No, he was a sweet boy," and they mention that he like received communion or his confirmation, and you're just like, "What the fuck? Did this come from a good home?" Or
What about you, Sean?
I don't know about a key scene. I mean, I guess there's some, but one of the things that leaves the biggest impression on me, other than just the kind of humorous tone and like these themes, the editing. I really like the editing because I feel like a lot of what the movie has to say, or the tone of the movie, is in the editing. Like if you had different edits for some of this stuff, it would be a different movie. And I go back to that thing where it'll be like this kind of leisurely strolling, talking to the camera about whatever, and he sounds very intelligent, and it's all very, continental. And then all of a sudden, it's like you get like five, shooting, dumping a body in the quarry, shooting, stabbing, strangling, and then like on to the next scene.
Mhm.
And it happens. I think I know there's at least twice that it happens like that, if not more. But it really just creates the tone of the movie right there. Like there's the one early on, and it lets you know kind of what you're in for. So then you're in with that until we get to that scene with the home invasion, and then I just feel like from there it's like, and I think all that works together to. So I think there's a couple things going on as far as like I think there's definitely the themes of the narcissism and that kind of lack of empathy, and there's just so many gold. I mean, the big moment for me is like when the rival film crew shows up, and John had referenced that in a different episode, and I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
remember it until it happened because I was like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Oh wait, I know what this is. This is that movie that okay." But that is so bizarre. But then that strengthens this idea. I think this movie is really kind of pointing to the ignorance of like college kids. Like I feel like
Well,
when you're that age, you think you know the world,
Mhm.
and for the most part, you don't. So it's like, how did two groups of these, biography, like these small film crew, get co-opted into following it? It's like two, not just one, but two. It's so crazy to me.
Did any of you
yeah.
guys ever watch Delocated on Comedy Central on Adult Swim?
Mm-mm.
No.
Oh, damn it, never mind.
This is kind of a weird poll here, but have either of you seen the famous Bob Dylan documentary "Don't Look Back" by D.A. Pennebaker?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Thanks for
Yeah,
that.
this is part of a that film, and this whole movement of direct cinema by this French filmmaker named Jean Rouch, who Remy Belvaux and the just two other friends that he's doing the film with just totally must have been into this idea that we're just gonna like completely strip everything down bare minimum and do cinema verite that just kind of puts you into like the most awkward situations imaginable, and just what that reflects back to us with this sort of fly on the wall kind of thing,
Interesting.
um, is what I think it's what really, really kind of makes this movie what it was. And even to the point where we get to that shootout and we lose the sound for a
Yeah.
while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I loved the way they dealt with the sound because there were
That
other
was really
moments
cool.
too where the sound would be further away and so you couldn't hear things or it would be distant. Like I thought that was a really nice touch and something that's obvious but also overlooked a lot with movies that kind of purport to take this approach.
I thought my TV was screwed up for a minute. I was like, fuck. I'm like, oh, yeah, they shut the sound guy.
Well, yeah, even during that scene with while they're searching for the bracelet, the sound guy's gone. So it's
Yeah,
quiet.
yeah,
And then you start to hear him coming back in. And because he's speaking to the camera, Benoit's speaking to the camera, but there's no audio. And then he's coming down the stairs and it slowly fades back in. Yeah,
yeah.
it's done exceptionally well. It's just a great detail that made that portion of the film pop. John mentioned something about how being placed in an awkward scenario. Um, the birthday scene really fucking got to me. So yeah, so he's he's just out of the hospital. They're bringing him his birthday cake, and I'm like, is that a fucking gun? It's in
Yeah.
the shape of a gun. But it's the first time that you really see in the movie nobody's really his friend.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is manipulated into a false sense of security with him. They're all fucking terrified of him.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody around him is fucking terrified. Even though he does genuinely care about these people, I mean, it's all wrong. Um, just how that scene plays out, you know it's coming too. When he pulls the
Yeah.
gun and blows the guy's head off, you know it's coming. I was like, yeah, he just slighted him right now. He's gonna fucking snap, and he does. And then it goes back to this like it goes from that like terrifying moment to they're back at the quarry and he turns around because he has the camera guys dragging the bodies. He's doing it throughout the entire film. Now he's got lackeys because they're all afraid of him. So now he turns around and goes, "Never mind, guys, we can't do it." And then you look down, and then it turns out the quarry is drained, and now you
Oh
can see the
yeah.
piles of corpses
Oh
down there at the
yeah.
bottom, and like the partially exposed corpses, and there's flies, and et cetera, et cetera. And he
Different
orders them.
states of decay.
Yeah, he orders them down there to go start, burying them and shit like that. And I'm sure they don't want to do it, but again, back to that like them just being afraid and yeah, that's all part of those key scenes where there's that turn. And I think everything they do after that it, it is out of fear, but it's also that they want to do some of that shit as well. We go back to
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
like the SA scene. The one guy finishes and he's disgusted with himself. You could see it in his face, and he's just like he didn't want to do it and he did it, and that still makes him culpable. But like you can see that he's only doing this because he doesn't want to get fucking killed. He doesn't want to get murked. And it's just a disgusting scene, going into that and then them waking up the next day. And we've already treaded on all this stuff, but yeah, it's an unnerving flick. Fuck. I don't really know what else to add to it. It's pretty cut and dry as far as what it is thematically. Um, it shocks exactly when it needs to, and the means of doing so are highly effective. It is it's a solid flick. It is put together well. It's got everything going right for it, but the content is just it's so fucking all over the place. It's I don't know. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend this to a lot of people, but for those who like to experience cinema that pushes boundaries, this is definitely something for you. And I do believe this is around the time when I was searching for things like that would do that to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I came across this film the first time. And again, I didn't give it a fair shake back then. But even now, when there's some things that I don't necessarily want to see or experience, this is one of those films that drags you through it, and it's fucking gnarly. Yeah. I don't feel good about myself after having watched this movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
Which is why Cannibal Ferox is my next Elements choice. No, I'm
Oh
just
Lord.
Yes.
Brutal.
No, you
Uh,
just gotta watch like a palate cleanser after, like puppies
yeah,
scampering
cat
or
videos.
Maybe
Billy
yeah.
Godzilla or
Madison.
something like that. Billy Madison.
I'm gonna
That's
Tropic
always
Thunder.
my go-to.
Tropic Thunder. No, I'm
The
kidding.
Oh.
pest.
Um,
Young Einstein.
does anyone else see And I'm not the most familiar with Woody Allen's movies, but I feel like there's a lot of Woody Allen influence in this movie. Am I insane?
I
I
don't
I
watch Woody
s-
Allen in this house.
I can't speak
I
to that. Yeah.
I'll be honest. I've never been the biggest Woody Allen fan, but I do see it. Not his usual stuff, like the stuff he's well known for. Well, I guess that's
I
not
feel
true. I
like
mean,
Annie
what,
Hall, I think is
what,
what it's been years since I
yeah,
saw it.
Annie Hall in Manhattan because he does do that kind of direct address, to the camera kind of thing.
What do you guys think were like obvious influences on the movie?
Apart from Henry, uh, I'm gonna just say D.A. Pennybaker and Jean Rouge. They clearly, being, Belgian and French, they all clearly love Jean Rouge and his direct cinema movement, and they just decided to take it in the most fucked up direction possible, one that the original direct cinema people never ever could have envisioned.
God damn, how do I follow that up?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I like Play-Doh,
I definitely don't have the vernacular to call out any what I would think influenced this at all. I could tell you what I
Yeah.
think it influenced, but
I can't really speak to that. I can tell you what it did influence going forward beyond that point. I
Yeah.
mean, Tori said earlier how it kind of revolutionized and helped create an entire genre of horror that is kind of looked down upon, but every once in a while you get something that genuinely surprises you. And I feel like one of the movies that we talked about recently, Looky Loo, um, kind of goes into some of this a bit, um, under different motives, though, for why, the killer is doing what he's doing. And there is no film crew. But yeah, I think it's just it's one of those films that has opened a doorway for a lot of filmmakers to go through and gave them a playground or a sandbox rather to play in. And so in that regard, like, we got a lot of found footage films that are fairly decent and pretty terrifying. But this one, as far as like it being the proto, I mean, goddamn, that's a hell of a way to it's a hell it's a the humble beginnings of that subgenre are really fucking terrifying.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd throw angst into the mix as
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely see ox. I should, yeah, I was thinking that earlier and meant to call it out. Like having just watched it like a year ago or whatever for this show, I definitely see a comparison.
And have you guys ever watched Shram?
No.
No, Shram. Anthony, have you ever watched Shram?
Oddly enough, I own it, but I haven't watched it.
Shram, Space Knight, right?
Space Night, as in like day and night, or night like huzzah?
It's the same director as Necromantic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's why I own it. But I haven't had a chance to sit down and check it out yet.
I got speaking of necromantic, this movie gave me kind of the vibe of that one because they're both kind of dirty
Yeah, oh,
looking,
definitely. Yeah, there's an
grimy,
element of grime, definitely. Yeah,
and yeah.
I think not a horror film, but have any of you seen La Haine?
with the cell?
Yeah, Vincent Cassel, La Haine, yeah. I kind of get the sense that just sort of Matthew Kassovitz might have been inspired a little bit by Man Bites Dog, or kind of wanted to get the look and feel of Man Bites Dog, mix it in with a little bit of Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
Thank you for unnerving me. Um, I don't get too freaked out too often, but honestly, like when there's SA on the screen, it's fucked up typically. I mean, to ingest that kind of content kind of sullies the soul if you watch too much of that kind of shit or engage
Hmm.
in that kind of cinema, or it's stuff that just needs to happen in small doses, and it's just another scene akin to, the B&E scene that happens in Clockwork Orange, where it's just like, okay, I know where this is going. I know exactly what's going to happen. And now all my senses are about to be assaulted, and I'm going to have this filthy feeling afterward. Um, I am glad I watched it, though. Again, I do like to push the boundaries of my own taste, and I'm glad I saw it. I actively tried to find this on Blu-ray. Apparently, it's only available in like Australia and Germany. There's no US release with the exception of the Criterion that was on DVD, you know, way back when, and now it's basically out of print here stateside. So I was able to rent this on Fandango, Vudu, whatever you want to call it, for like $5.99. And yeah, it is available out there, folks, for those that do want to plunge yourself into the darkness that is this movie, and it's grim fucking themes.
Yeah.
But I am glad that I watched it.
I will say too, I think um watching this movie, I'm seeing like a parallel too, because to me, this crew, I know they were working a little out of fear, but to me, I got the fact that they felt protected by the camera. And it's almost like YouTube prankers nowadays, like doing these fucked up pranks to people. Not trying to compare pranks to murder or anything, but in doing these things and feeling protected because they're being filmed and they're doing this for content, or to them they're doing it for this bigger scope and to almost justify like your actions. So to see that too, and also, shit we watch, how desensitized we can be, how, like Anthony was saying, the longer you hang out with this type of element, the more you become influenced by it, you become desensitized to it, you're okay with it. Just from 1992 to now, still seeing those themes and just how far we really, or if we've gone far enough.
Hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville, and today I'm going to get shot by a roto riot control bullet.
Oh,
Well, do you ever see those? Some dudes will like go up to random people. This one guy like went up to a girl and asked her, I forget the question, but something totally fucking terrible that like triggered her into this like traumatic episode. And her boyfriend just goes up to the dude and just starts wailing on him. It's like, fuck yeah, that's justice. Just because you have a camera doesn't mean you should be protected, or it doesn't justify anything you're doing.
am I wrong, or do the film crew never really talks about what their overall project intention is? Correct? I mean, they're just doing it, obviously. Oh, they want to make a movie about me, but I feel like that was kind of something that was lacking, because I did wonder that at some point. Like I expected to get some kind of a brief
Mm-hmm.
dissertation on why they were doing this. And so you guys clearly picked up something I did not, and that's probably my own fault. So I'm not saying you're wrong, but I didn't get the I'm protected by the camera or I'm afraid. I just got the I'm complicit because yeah, I want to be. They felt like they were just in from the get-go. After like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a plot here. I'm like, if it's just the random scenes of this, it wouldn't necessarily be bad, but I'm like, that I don't feel like that's what this is going to be. So it's really just a thematic exploration, right? But I would have, and it's fine. I mean, I love Gummo, and that's what that is. But I feel like I could have used some. I don't know. I guess it's not that I could have used it. I wanted to know what, especially because of the other film crew. Like,
You wanted
why?
some method to the madness.
Yeah, like I wanted to know. And you know what it probably boils down to is inherently me wanting to know there's a reason why people are doing these terrible things, right? Not that there's any
Mm.
good reason to do them, but like at least,
Mm-hmm.
like the rise of Leslie Vernon, like again, like the minute he actually becomes what they know that he is. It's like all of a sudden the movie shifts because they have to step aside and go like, wait a minute, are this is happening. So I don't know. It's so funny because it is an unnerving movie, but it did not. It was a breezy watch for me. I had no problem until that B&E scene. I had no problem with anything, and even the B&E scene wasn't even enough to like completely alienate me. You know, where like
Hmm. Not like irreversible.
yeah, exactly. Where it's just like, oh, there's no coming back from this. Like, even if I make it through the rest of the movie, I'm gonna feel awful. I didn't feel anything after I finished. So I was like, yeah, it was. I enjoyed it. It's cool. Bye.
Now, do you guys think the killer intentionally involved the crew, or it was just like, it's convenient? Oh, hey, help me out with this. Or was he slowly trying to sway them on his side?
A little bit of the first two, and then the third, it occurs to him along the way.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a metaphor for the audience, right? Like, you you want to see this. It makes you a part of it by being here. Like you're
Hmm.
complicit.
Yeah, I think also, like I said, when he starts kind of getting upset that he's not showing up in the paper and they're not writing stories about his killings, he then manipulates the film team to kind of up the ante
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
increase the volume and frequency of how often he's killing. Because I mean, it's literally like one after the other after the other after they make fucking bits where again, it's the lady getting strangled and the fucking stuff coming out of her mouth.
It was really unnerving. It is a very unnerving movie. But yeah, I feel like it would take me to that point and then it would pull it back, or it would do something to like break it up a bit.
There's just enough humor to make it palatable.
Yeah.
Yeah. The tone with which it's done, if this was done with the tone of I mean, never having seen them, but like an American guinea pig or something, it would not have. I wouldn't have been able to do it. But because it had that deer skin, I mean, obviously deer skin came after, but the humor, like Anthony said, it's never far away.
Yeah, a movie like American Guinea Pig, where it's like faux snuff. Um, there's no plot. It's just there's people that are paying to see something, and then little bits of backstory kind of unravel as it goes along. But it's just a gore vignette that the whole entire thing. It's a gross flick. I own it. Again, it's another one that's in my collection. I have all the
Flowers of Flesh and Blood.
yeah, I have all that stuff. And then all the new American stuff. Yeah, even American Guinea Pig is gross because like even after there's a post-credit scene where a little girl walks into the room. It's just like, wait, what? And then
Oh
it
man.
turns out it was just like a bit where like one of the cameramen's like kids was on set or something and then walked in and but the camera was still rolling and they kept it in. They're
Oh
like
no.
they're like let's use that. So it was totally unintentional and then ended up being this like perfect bookend to that disgusting movie.
Final thoughts on Man Bites Dog.
Watch it.
It's on Hobomax.
Maybe
It
want to
is.
have mussels and chips.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh man.
Kept
Uh,
making me think of Angst, the scene where he's eating the sausages.
yeah, again, if
Ah,
you're if you're a thrill-seeking, film enthusiast who's, again wanting to push the limits of what you can handle, this is a good starting point. But yeah, again, to like the average moviegoer, film goer, I wouldn't recommend this outright, but there is an audience for it.
Hmm.
I am part of that audience. So in that regard, yeah, go push the boundary and experience it for yourself,
Don't send me your bill, please. Your doctor bill.
right?
I don't know if I would watch it again. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a great movie. I don't know if I'd do a second watch just because it is a little hard on the soul.
Yeah, definitely.
But definitely would recommend it at least one time.
Tori, it's been a while, so thanks for bringing Benoit back into my life.
Sorry for traumatizing everyone.
I didn't feel like it was traumatic at all. We keep having these movies that I think are going to traumatize me, and they don't, and then it makes me wonder.
Challenge accepted, John. You're all wow.
No, God,
So
no,
be it.
please.
I can't feel a thing.
Well, okay, that's Man Bites Dog, and this is the Horror Vision, Elements of Horror. I am Sean.
I am some corpse underneath a bunch of other corpses at the bottom of a quarry.
I'm John.
Hi, Tori. Oh.
Hapless teenagers beset by demons in the woods. A strange new drug that turns art into murder. A can't beat a deal on a new house with a horrifying past. A video game that might usher in the apocalypse. From the demented mind of Sean C. Baker, author of a collection of desires, Shadow Play, and Murder Virus, comes Volume 4, collecting Baker's no sleep work along with several never-before published short stories. This 99-cent volume also includes the opening chapter of the author's forthcoming teenage giallo novel, Black Gloves and Broken Hearts, due out later this year.